Hello, my name is Erica Salcedo, and today I will be presenting on the death penalty, also known as the capital punishment. Capital punishment, also known as the death penalty, is a state-sanctioned practice of killing a person as punishment for a crime. The first established was in the 18th century BC in the Code of King Hammurabi of Babylon, which only had it available for 25 different crimes. In the 14th century BC, 7th century BC, the only death punishment was that it was there for all crimes. In the 5th century BC, the death sentence were done by drowning, beating to death, burning alive, and impalement. In the 10th century AD, hanging became the usual form of execution. By the 6th century, over 72,000 people had been executed. Who, what, and why? Britain influenced America's use of the death penalty more than any other country did. In the new colonies, the first recorded execution was that of Captain George Kendall for being a spy for Spain. Governor Sir Thomas of Virginia in 1612 enacted the divine, moral, and martial laws that provided the death penalty even for the minor offenses such as stealing food, killing chickens, and trading with Indians. The Duke's Law of 1665 in the New York colony instituted offenses such as hitting your mother or father or denying the true God were also punishable by death. Specifically, information for Washington State. On October 11th of 2018, capital punishment in the state of Washington was abolished. On September 10, 2010, Cal Coburn Brown was the last executed in Washington for conviction of carjacking a woman at knife point, holding her for 34 hours, and raping, torturing, and eventually murdering her and leaving her dead in her car's trunk. The state with the highest executions in the United States from 1976 to 2021 are Texas being number 1 with 573 executions and Washington being number 24 with only 5 executions. Colorado, Connecticut, New Mexico, and Wyoming are last with only 1 execution. The data for both men and women and the highest punished crime is as follows. The death row for males was located at the Washington State Penitentiary at Walla Walla, and that is where the executions also took place. Every person to date executed in Washington State has been a male. Women were housed at Washington Correction Center for Women at Purdy near Gig Harbor while awaiting their execution, although none took place. Those prisoners currently on death row and all those executed in the modern era of death were convicted of murder. Where the death row is still applicable. The 14 countries whom still use the capital punishment are Bangladesh, China, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Indonesia, Iran, Japan, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, and the United States. In China, the most executions worldwide take place in Asia, and it executes more people than the rest of the world combined each year. 27 states still use the death penalty, and those are Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Nebraska, Nevada, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming. Texas accounts for the most executions carried out in the United States, and it was also the first to carry out an execution by lethal injection in 1982. How I composed my research for this project was by mainly using the website deathpenalty.org. They have a lot of information in regards to when, what, and why it started, and it gives you access to every article written in regards to any execution that has taken place if you are trying to find a specific case. I also used one peer-reviewed journal, and there was different online articles as well. These are my references and where I, like I said, gathered most of my information. The first one basically speaks about where it is still applicable, and what was the last case here in the here in Washington, as well as the next reference speaks on the men at Walla Walla, and it basically gives you in-depth information as to the crimes that each person who has been convicted committed. The third reference speaks on the history of the death penalty, and it gives you a rundown of basically each century and what their main use of the death penalty was for, and why. Back in the day, it basically was done for any and all crimes up until the 1600s is when it started changing and became more crime specific. The OGP.gov website gave me information in regards to where it still applies, and let's see, where the death row still applies and where it's convicted the most, so China and Texas. And then the rest of my information I gathered from the death penalty website. Thank you for watching.